I want to bring into the conversation Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut. Senator, it's good to have you with us. We played for our viewers a short time ago your passionate speech on the floor of the Senate last night, where you asked simply, what are we doing? Why did you get into politics if not to keep people safe and stop this? So what should we be doing as a country? It's been such a complicated question for so long. You had just been elected to the United States Senate when all those kids at Sandy Hook were killed, along with 6 of their teachers. You were on the scene shortly after that happened. I think I even saw you up there that evening. What should we be doing as a country? What's reasonable to expect? How do we change this? How do we get out of this dark thicket, as Admiral Stavridis puts it?
So, listen, I think there's a difference between what we should be doing and what is reasonable to expect from this Congress. What we should be doing is taking these weapons of war out of the hands of civilians. At the very least, making sure that individuals have to show some capacity, some ability to handle these weapons. In Texas, you have to go through more bureaucracy to get a CAT license than you do to own a military-style assault weapon. That's just upside down. What is possible in Congress is something less than a national ban on these military-style weapons. And I've been on the phone with my Republican and Democratic colleagues all day yesterday, all morning this morning, trying to find that path forward, maybe for a small expansion of the national background check system, maybe red flag laws that allow to take guns out of the hands of the most dangerous individuals, maybe a small protection on the purchase of assault weapons to raise the age so that 18-year-olds maybe have to go through at least a few more hoops before they get their hands on weapons like these. What's possible is much smaller than what we need to do to protect kids, but I'm going to certainly be in the business of trying to find out what's possible in the coming days. We need to show families that we're serious. We need to show this country that we're not just going to sit on our hands again.
So, Senator, let's get to the reasonable to expect part of this. We had Fred Guttenberg on just a moment ago, who implored Senator Cruz, for example, to walk down the hallway and knock on your door, sit down and say, enough. What can we do here? What is reasonable to expect given the politics of gun safety?
Listen, I think it's always important to remember that, well, rightly so, these mass shootings dominate the news. They are the entry point for conversation about our nation's gun laws. Every single day, there are over 100 people dying from guns, and the number of people who are dying in just single and double murders every single day has skyrocketed in the last couple of years. So expanding the background check system to make sure that criminals can't get their hands on guns and then resell them in our streets is actually the most effective way to bring down the rate of gun violence. Now, people will say that wouldn't have solved the shooting in Texas, but that actually will save a lot of lives in this country. That's certainly possible. Red flag laws are possible, making it easier to take guns out of the hands of individuals that are sort of showing breaks from reality. Those are the things that I think we can get done and passed. And I think if we just show my Republican colleagues that the sky doesn't fall when they vote against the gun lobby, then maybe we open the door for further change that makes a bigger difference later on.
So, Senator Murphy, you get a lot of reasons to why these options don't work, the ones you just listed. You get a lot of direct, immediate reasons. So what do you have to say directly to the lawmakers who have the power to do this and won't?
So many Republicans say the answer is more mental health funding. Well, that's BS. There's a mental health crisis in this country, but it doesn't explain the gun violence epidemic. We don't have any more mental illness in the United States than any other country. It's that in this country, when you have homicidal thoughts, you have easy access to weapons of war that allow you to kill 20 kids at one moment. Other Republicans will say, well, the answer is just to load our schools up with guns. Well, that wasn't a problem in Texas. In fact, there was law enforcement on the scene as this young man arrived, and they were outgunned by him. More guns wasn't the solution in Texas. It didn't stop the Parkland shooter. It didn't stop the El Paso shooter. Clearly, we've got to stop these individuals from having access to the weapons before they get there. So we've just got to sort of punch holes in the mythology that a lot of the opponents of change use to sit on the sidelines.
Senator Murphy, you're a thoughtful guy. We're sitting here in New York with Admiral Stavridis. who is a worldly man, a military man, also a thoughtful guy. Given what's happened in the last 24 hours, less than 9 days since Buffalo, do either of you, you specifically now, Senator Murphy, do you worry that we are slowly, through inaction, through political cowardice, through political hypocrisy, do you worry that we are slowly killing ourselves, the core of our democracy, the heart of our country?
Listen, I do. I mean, I think something is dying inside the soul of this nation when we accept this as the new normal, when we just decide to become numb because it's easier. I want people in this country to feel a sense of outrage. That's the reason I went to the floor yesterday as quickly as I did, because I don't want people to fall into the sense of complacency. I have 2 kids. I had to go home last night and talk to them about this. I know that they are sitting in school today talking with their friends about whether their school is next. This is within our power to change. We are human beings with agency. This isn't inevitable. None of it is. And we are dying inside because too many Americans just throw up their hands and say it's too hard, the politics are too difficult. Not true. Not true. My colleagues can come to the table and get something done, and that's what I'm going to try to do this week.
Senator, last night we heard from Republicans, including your colleague Ted Cruz, and some conservative media figures who said that the president and you were politicizing this moment, that we were trying to take advantage of a tragedy to score political points. So I wanted you to take this moment to respond.
Well, that's ridiculous. You don't say that a detective is politicizing a murder because he immediately gets to the task of trying to solve it and find the perpetrator to prevent the next murder. I'm in the business of trying to save lives, and so that means every single day I wake up to try to strengthen our nation's gun laws to make sure that less madmen get their hands on weapons that allow kids to die. So I don't sit back and take a single day off in this fight. And so, yes, that does mean on days where there are mass shootings, I am also talking about the need to strengthen our gun laws. But this sort of sense that when a mass shooting happens, you need to not talk about policy change, that is a fiction created by the gun industry, because they know that in these moments, the American public is going to stand up and demand change. And so they want to muzzle politicians and legislators during these moments so that there's no chance of that momentum from the public being mobilized into action. So I don't accept the idea that I'm supposed to shut up and not talk about changing the laws of this country to protect my kids in the wake of one of these shootings. I actually think I have an obligation in these moments to be even more urgent in my outreach to my colleagues, because these are copycat killings, because I know that the next one is coming around the corner.